Good morning, friends. Stephen Benoon with Israeli News Live, and we have two major issues that are going on in the world right now, at least those things that we've been following. That is, of course, none other than China's growing pressure and hostile takeover of the Pacific region, which includes quite a few areas down there, the Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea. Believe it or not, Japan as well. Not to say that Japan's not a sovereign nation, but they want to be able to control that entire region down there. And also, we are looking at the situation of La Palma. Of course, the spew of giant rocks. Elizabeth sent this video to me this morning. I was already preparing from Hal Turner's release a couple of days ago. Northern part of the island has already raised 10 centimeters, another part of it 8 centimeters, etc. But I want to kind of go into some of these issues here. Also remind you guys too that we will be in Pensacola, Florida on Tuesday, October the 12th at the Wahoo Stadium there. There is a freedom rally going on at that location there. I've shared that with you in yesterday's news broadcast. I will once again share that with you, the link on how you can get tickets. You can also get tickets at the door there for this freedom rally that's going on. Yana will be speaking at that at the very beginning, just briefly, about 20 minutes on that, but the information is very important. There are some very well-named people there, as we mentioned in the broadcast yesterday, kind of cautious on what we put out about that. Anyway, let's get right into the situation here. And going back, this is, of course, Admiral Aquilino, and I don't always get his name pronounced right. I don't know if it's still pronouncing it right, but as I mentioned to you the other day, President Biden was approached by the Chinese government, and we were made aware of this, and the Chinese being very forthright that they are going to take Taiwan, and they were told to stand down. And of course, China is trying to do this without firing a shot with Taiwan. Don't know how successful that will be, but basically I've been told that the military muscle that they've been flying over Taiwan was basically a show of force for their own people of China, that they are a strong nation and they're capable of taking over this region, and also that the Taiwanese will end up being cooperative. Biden did go to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's how I found out about this issue there. And at the Joint Chiefs of Staff meeting, he relayed what was being said to him, that the Chinese were going to take Taiwan between Christmas and New Year's, that we were to stand down. The Joint Chiefs then ran all the exercises through our computer system to see what would be the outcome of a war with China. And no matter which way, even if we were to ally with Russia, would we become victorious? It would be tremendous loss of life in doing so. And so now it looks like that we are going to stand down exactly that. But Admiral Aquilino he's not just sitting back on the sidelines. He's starting to do his own thing because of the poor leadership in Washington. For example, Admiral Aquino is sending in additional troops to Taiwan to start preparing for evacuations. He said he is not going to allow another Afghanistan. Of course, Biden did nothing nor said nothing in response to Admiral Aquilino, his statement of what he was going to do. And I want to kind of back you up and share with you at his confirmation hearing back on March 23rd, 2021, what he's saying then about Taiwan, and of course his very much awareness of the situation. Listen into this right here. This is Senator Cotton questioning him about the situation in Taiwan, and of course the Admiral's response to that.
Taiwan. Strictly from a military strategic standpoint, I don't want to talk about protecting Taiwanese democracy. I'm committed to that. I know you are as well. From a military strategic standpoint, why is it so important to Beijing that they annex Taiwan?
Thanks, Senator. As you know, they view it as their number one priority. The rejuvenation of the Chinese Communist Party is at stake, very critical as they look at the problem. from a military standpoint, the strategic location of where it is as it applies to the potential impact of 2/3 of the world's trade, certainly a critical concern. Additionally, the status of the United States as a partner with our allies and partners also is at stake should we have a conflict in Taiwan. So those two reasons are really the strategic main concerns that I would see.
What would it?
One thing that I would like to point out on this right here in his statement there is 2/3 of the world's trade would be affected by them taking Taiwan, them controlling it. And we already know that the Silk Road Initiative that China has laid out is basically the New World Order or One World Government's plan for a new economic strategic powerhouse. And this is one reason why not only are they planning on taking over the whole entire South Pacific here, and I'll just kind of show you the Google map on this region here. As you can see here, Taiwan just to the east there, northeast of Hong Kong there. This is that critical island that's been a democracy for years as a result of the United States and us really waging all the wars back since World War II in that region there. But then you're also dealing with the Philippines. And they've already made a move on the Philippines. That was something else that I was just told just the other day, that they have made a move on the Philippines as well. So the situation is very critical right now. And that was Thursday, just after 2 p.m. Eastern time. I was told to keep an eye on the Philippines because China is already strong arming down in that area there. South Korea was told that China does not want us in South Korea any longer. And then I was told too that once they have taken over the South Pacific, then China is going to be moving to the Middle East. And again, why all these locations? It is the Silk Road Initiative. And remember, China, my friends, is controlled by Israel. And I just wanted to see if I actually had that article still up. My wife had sent that to me. So many, let's see here, Israel involved in China. And here we go right here. Ramifications of Israeli domination of the cyber technology in the age of AI and its relationship to Russia and China, how it can be exploited by the Arab world for political leverage. Israeli domination of the world's high-tech technology sector is little known and little understood. This document seeks to summarize the extrapolate of the ramifications of allowing the world's high-technology defense research and development infrastructure to be situated in Israel. All right, so Israel, and of course Israel, the control that they have over the Chinese is unprecedented, and that is so often overlooked here. Just right here in this article as well, showing you Jewish faces in the Chinese government. In the days past, Jews were more careful to hide themselves in the political arena, preferring to work behind the scenes. But today, Jewish politicians increasingly fill government posts through the power of ethnic networking, the power of media control, and the power of money, which can control the outcome of elections by image crafting. So you have right here Robert Lawrence Kahn, another Jewish investment banker consultant to the CCP. You have Israel Epstein, second from the right, in front, standing in front of Mayo. He later became the Minister of Appropriations, an extremely powerful position, particularly cashless era. To the right of him is another Jewish man, also undercover as a journalist. You had Robert Lawrence Kahn talking about who the new Chinese president will be, while Chinese have no clue about it. Epstein cover was journalism. His parents were Russian Jews who were imprisoned in Siberia for espionage. The Israeli Epstein chatting with Chairman Hu just before his death. Sidney Shapiro, Israel's Epstein, and Shin Bedi getting birthday party thrown by the Politburo. And that's from a Chinese article right there. Also, mail with Sidney Rittenberg claims observe the upper levels of the Chinese leadership. So constantly we see that power, who is controlling the powers of the world. And as I was told some 2 years ago, when I was really hammering about Israel allowing China unprecedented, no challenge whatsoever for the bidding of the Haifa port that was being constructed, and how that China solely got the contract without any challenge to their own bidding. Once we made a fuss over here at Israeli News Live, the next port in Ashkelon then was put up for bid for multiple nations. China still got the bid, and of course China was controlling on who and how U.S. military would be allowed in. In fact, let me just see if I can pull that up. And as far as the port in Haifa there, and China controlling that. Let's see here. Israel rejects U.S. plan to inspect Chinese harbor at Haifa. Notice that, Chinese harbor at Haifa. U.S. press intel on Haifa port amid China espionage concerns. There's all kinds of things going on there. Wow, look at that. That's a new one. October the 5th. Didn't even see that one out there. But anyway, 10. Let's see. That's not what we're looking for. No, that was not what we were looking for there. Let's see. Israel rejects U.S. plan to inspect Chinese harbor at Haifa. Look at that. U.S. wanted to inspect the harbor at Haifa, and Israel has rejected it. Has refused an American request to inspect the new Chinese-built Haifa port that will be operated for the next 25 years by SIPG, a Chinese company. This is being seen in both countries as a test case of Israel's relationship with China and with the United States. Israeli officials declined to comment on the story first reported by the Israeli daily newspaper Haaretz. The domestic political chaos here has pushed the issue on to the back burner, but after the March elections, the fourth in less than 2 years, the new government must deal with the problem. Well, the thing is, clearly, the U.S. is being pushed completely out of all the regions there because why? China is going to be the new world superpower. Israel will direct how everything is being done. I want to kind of just quickly point out to you here, too. This is where Admiral Aquilino spoke about the situation over in Afghanistan. The article, of course, dating back to August the 25th of 2021, because as I pointed out to you in his latest comments regarding Taiwan, he's already working to move our troops out of there. He says, Admiral Aquilino said there has been close cooperation between India and the U.S. Central Command in evacuating people from Afghanistan, adding the U.S. is committed to ensuring the safe evacuation of all of its citizens as well as those from its partner countries. But as we already know, that whole situation turned into a complete debacle. He also said, largely talked about challenges facing the Indo-Pacific. Nothing that it is the most consequential region for the future. The attack on the rules-based and international order that allows freedom of navigation for all is certainly one of the most critical challenges, he said, that freedom of navigation allows 2/3 of the world's economy to flow through the South China Sea. 1/4 of the liquid natural gas flows through the area. It is critical for the prosperity of all nations, and when it is challenged and potentially confronted, that will negatively impact all the nations in the region, Admiral Aquilino said. He described the challenges as foundational security concerns. There are many more. There is economic coercion, there is corruption, there are challenges that the Indians, specifically with regard to sovereignty of the line of actual control. There are rules against the peoples of Hong Kong, he said. All these things are true, but unfortunately the Chinese have been able to corrupt the politicians here in the United States, going back to the situation back in the 80s when the CIA was doing covert operations, smuggling drugs into the United States, politicians getting their cut from all the money laundering that was going on. And the Chinese, of course, they ended up paying off those drug lords to find out those politicians and their families that were involved. Many of those later end up being blackmailed by third parties, second parties that Chinese have used in order to get control of this country, just like they've done in many other parts of the world there. And now they are controlling the political factions here in the United States. So it is a complete debacle that has happened in this nation. And the admiral is one of the few people that has had the guts to stand up and to actually try to do something about it. But there's very little that he can do at this point. All right, turning our focus here now over to La Palma. The situation there is growing more dire. There has been a 10-centimeter lift in the northern part, which is the red section on the map here, how Turner put out on there. I know that doesn't sound like very much, but when the land is lifting and raising like that, as this points out in the article here, that means the main volcano has got a lot of lava under it. It's trying to push it open. We can already see the reds down in here. This is where all the action is going on as of right now. But even another section of the island to the bottom left right here, unstable landmass, this is also raised 8 centimeters in one night alone. One night alone. And of course, this is the part that they're concerned about that could break off and slide into the ocean. The United Nations meeting a couple of weeks ago, also very concerned that that could actually happen. So there is a great fear of this taking place. And of course, how Turner has put in what would a 50-meter tsunami look like if it were to hit the eastern United States. Florida, all gone. Even in the Gulf of Mexico, all those areas there, Panhandle, Louisiana, southern Louisiana, Texas coast, all the way into Houston, all these areas would be inundated by a massive tidal wave. I don't know if it would ever be that large. I can't say that it would be. I don't know. But the thing is, I know that the scientists are very concerned about what actually could happen. I want to play a little short clip here from this La Palma video right here that was put out. This was put out by Every News. They just put this out talking about this new ejection of large rocks going on. Let's listen to this real quickly here, and we will close for today.
And on Sunday, that a new destructive lava flow was being monitored in the island of La Palma. The volcano has been continuously erupting there for 3 weeks. Spain's National Geological Institute, ING, said there were 21 seismic movements detected on Sunday, with the largest measuring 3.8 on the Richter scale, which caused the ground to shake in the villages of Mazo, Huancaliente, and El Paso. The ING published footage of the new lava flow, warning about blocks of molten lava that it said were as large as 3-story buildings rolling down the hillside. In a video posted on their Twitter account, giant lava rocks could be seen floating in a large river of lava, moving at high speed. The Canary Islands Volcanology Institute said the lava flow, with temperatures of up to 1240 degrees Celsius, destroyed the last few buildings that remain standing in the village of Taduque. On Saturday, ING reported that a partial cone collapse near the volcano's emission vent had taken place. This is said to have triggered the giant lava rocks that spilled out. The collapse of the northern flank of the Cumbre Vieja volcano has caused the release of large blocks of material and the appearance of new flows that run through areas already evacuated, tweeted Spain's National Security Department. The lava has reached the Camino de la Gata industrial estate and new buildings, the agency added. So far, 1,186 buildings have been destroyed by the continuous eruption of the Cumbre Vieja volcano since it began on September 19th, the Canary Islands Volcanic Institute said. Some 493 hectares, 1,218.
Check it out right there. All the different vents going off like that. This is unprecedented in anything that I've ever seen myself. And of course, I'm not a volcanologist, but there certainly seems to be a increasing tremendous concern. And I do think that anyone living near East Coast lands, I've been told personally by some friends in Washington, if you're within 200 miles of major bodies of water, unless you have some really high elevation, you really need to think about where you're at and what's going on with this situation. So, even if we were to have, let's say we didn't have some 50-meter, 150-foot tidal wave surge. Let's just say it's a 30 or 40-foot tidal wave. If you're still within 5-10 miles of a coastline area there, you need to be thinking about and really paying attention what's going on here. And of course, at anything that we were to know, we would immediately advise you through an emergency broadcast, whether day or night. Of course, I know people are not monitoring in the middle of the night, but always keep a cell phone turned on and not too far from you, because the emergency broadcast system has been activated for this very purpose of La Palma. I do know that for a fact. The government has done that. They haven't initiated that plan there, but sadly, it's only for U.S. buoys that would be going off. Anyway, we're going to be headed out to Pensacola, Florida today, headed that direction there. Tomorrow is the 12th of October. We hope to see you there. And if you live in that area, like I said, don't drive long distances. I'd hate to see that, because we just don't know how much time we would get to spend with you. We're not hosting this meeting. It's hosted by a friend of ours, a doctor friend of ours. I can't say that name of that person there, but at any rate, we hope to see you there. And I'll post the link for buying the tickets and the information for it in this video's description as well. God bless you. Thank you for listening. Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live.